Hi there, my name is the Drama Goat, and today I'm here to speak with you about my competitive interpretation acting curriculum for NSDA events. NSDA is the National Speech and Debate Association, and some of the events that students can compete in are more closely related to acting than to speech and debate. So this curriculum is for competing in those events. So you can use this to prep for a competition or just to do the events in class for fun. The specific events that this curriculum covers include prose, poetry, program of oral interpretation, dramatic interpretation, humorous interpretation, and duo interpretation. You can find more information in the first page of the curriculum, but today I'll be going more in depth previewing what this curriculum is all about to show you all the goodies it has in store. When you purchase this product, you will be able to download a zip folder, and inside that zip folder is going to be everything you need to execute this curriculum. You'll find the document that's called Competitive Interpretation Curriculum that I have pulled up here. So let's take a look, and I will show you again what this is all about. So I've gone over the events that this covers, but there's more information in the overview and statement of purpose there. So this isn't a super typical curriculum just because, students could compete in all of these events, but it's really best to choose 1 to 3 that they want to focus on. However, there is a lot of overlap in how you prepare for all of these interpretation events. So this is really what this curriculum is for. So we'll just go through it. So the first lesson is about vocal projection, and I'm going to use this lesson to show you how all of the lessons and units in this curriculum are structured. So every unit has a duration. I start with a writing response. So that's a quote or question that you could use as a do now, your bell word question, whatever you'd like to call it. And the lesson sequence is what you're going to do in class that day in the order you're going to do it. Whenever you get to something like this Elements of Vocal Projection handout, that is included in that zip folder. So you'll just go and find it by name. As you can see, it's right there. So we start with vocal projection because that's, the key really core foundational skill of any acting or speech or debate is vocal projection. Similarly, next we have diction. And so you spend a bit of time on that, focusing on consonants, using poetry as a stimulus and doing some diction exercises. The units have materials you're going to need to execute the unit, as well as modifications and accommodations ideas for your students with disabilities or other challenges. And then there's an assessment. So in this case, it is a rubric. So we start out with a poetry performance for our diction unit. That's really the first assessment in this unit. And then moving on, we have an introduction to the competitive acting event. So we overview all the events so students can select one that they're interested in. It's good to show examples of all of the different kinds of events that you can do. With those YouTube videos, there are transcripts that are included with this unit, again, to assist your students who may need accommodations or modifications for disabilities or other learning challenges. So we have examples of those, and then we have some discussion questions. I break the interpretation and the other events into separate days just because they're more similarly related events. And we have a diverse array of performance topics and performers as well. It's really important to me that all students see themselves in speech and debate, as well as interpretation events. That's what I'm including in there. I have a note about that diversity there. I have a competition events guide as well as sample ballots so you can see what judges are looking for in the zip folder as well. So next, students select their pieces or their literature that they're going to create their ultimate performance script from. So I have some tips and tricks for that. I spend a lot of time on how to select those. And then the next step is to cut your piece. So you go from the source material and you make cuts to it so it makes sense from a storytelling perspective when students interpret the literature as they perform in these competitions. So we get into more acting and critiquing as we go along to really help pare this down. As with some of the events, such as poetry, it's often more than one piece of literature that's being performed. So cutting is all about how to slice those together. So again, it makes sense from a storytelling perspective, and it flows really nicely. The next step in the curriculum we have is character development. So all of these events involve performing as some sort of character made up or imagined from the literature that's your source material. So we go over all how to develop character, doing some voice work, as well as some physical theater work. We do a little bit with accents, which accents can be a great way to develop a character for an interpretation event. Then we go through and color code or otherwise mark up the script for different characters so students can learn how to transition between characters, because that's a very important element of performing in an interpretation event. We also learn about beats, which is a little bit about directing. So beats is kind of the movements, if you will, like in sort of like in a piece of classical music, the movements within your piece that you were interpreting. We do some more critique. And then after that, we go right in and we start holding mini competitions to sort of get feedback and start performing and just kind of get into a cycle of performing, analysis and critique, rehearsal, taking those critiques, and then again another performance to get students in, as many chances to perform their whole piece as possible. Students also have a self-reflection using this performance skills and confidence goals worksheet. So they self-reflect throughout the unit. Then I have some extemporaneous and extra credit activities there, as well as some writing response prompts that can help you. So really you can sort of treat this unit or this curriculum like an accordion and expand it or compact it depending on how much time you have, whether you're competing or not, or whether it's just a thing to do in class. But really, pieces can only get better. So you can do this for quite a while, maybe even make it a whole semester and just use this sort of as your main hub. I hope this gives you a closer insight of what this competitive interpretation acting curriculum for NSDA events looks like. Be sure to check out my other NSDA related products because I have a ton of them on my store. And best of luck in competition. I hope you break into the next round. Thank you for listening.